Good evening. My cat and I enter into a relationship with death. A friend of mine once told me a story about the time he agreed to do an odd job on a farm, killing a bunch of feral cats. And he had the good idea to gas them by placing them in a cardboard box connected to his truck's exhaust, because it seemed like the compassionate and painless thing to do. But when he turned the exhaust on, they did not go peacefully into the night, but began a harrowing howling and screaming. And they began to tear and maul at each other. And when he didn't know what to do, he heard the farmer yell, "My God, shoot them! You can't let them kill each other!" And so he had to open the box and shoot each and every one of them one by one out of mercy. He said it was the worst day of his life. I used to own a cat. In the beginning, his name was Little Mister. Later, it was just Cat. But he has a new dad now that calls him Meester. Early in our relationship, when he was maybe 1 or 2 years old, I started referring to him as a teen cat because he behaved like a teenager. And teenagers are terrible people. In an effort to alleviate the wild, unresolved, sublimated primordial tensions that I believe were contributing to this teen cat behavior, I started leaving my kitchen window open so he could go outside when he wanted, hopefully relieving those tensions and not acting like an asshole. When I first became aware that he'd entered into a relationship with death, when returning home from a weekend somewhere, I found my apartment covered in feathers. I found no corpse, but the absence of a corpse is still a corpse. But I guess sometimes some feathers are just some feathers. So the window was a bad idea, and I started letting him in and out through the patio door. He would meow and scratch at the door we wanted out or in, and this worked fine. One day I heard cooing outside, but it was not like the ordinary cooing of a pigeon. I opened the door to a mess of feathers, and there was blood, slathered like spilled paint all over the cement, and my cat, with a convulsing pigeon securely clutched in his jaws, looked up at me. And for the first time, I saw true wild in the eyes of another. I took a picture on my iPhone and I sent it to my girlfriend. "Holy shit," she replied. He dropped the bird on the patio and it began to writhe on the cement while he played with it, swiping it, but never moving in to put an end to it all, just leaving the bird there on the ground, struggling against its inevitable conclusion. And the cooing became strained. "Jesus Christ," I said audibly, "what do I do?" So I went inside and got the broom. Oh God, I've never killed an animal before. Bugs? No, bugs don't count. My muscles tensed as I climbed up on a chair and I held the broom way too tight in my hands and prepared to deliver death for the first time. I plunged the end of the broomstick down towards the bird's head, but I was so tense and squeamish that I missed the first 2 strokes. And then I plunged it down again and I hit and lightly crushed the side of its head. But this only made it flop more erratically. The next hit was direct. "Is it dead?" It did not move again. "It is dead." And the cat walked off, uninterested in this bloody, brainless, lifeless bird. Death isn't a thing we get to do. It's a haunting reminder of the impossibility of living all we want to live in our lives. I hope my neighbor doesn't come out on the patio. I imagine that moment we stop breathing will greet us as a welcome relief from this sad, binding contract with life's constantly dwindling possibilities. So I got my mop, my bucket, and my Dr. Bronner's and cleaned up the blood and feathers off the patio. Time passes. Time passed. Sometimes there would just be a rib cage sitting on the patio, and I enjoyed those because they're easier to clean up. There would be many disemboweled mice, also easy to clean up. There would be many majestic rare birds like cardinals that managed to escape. And there would be 3 more birds that I had to brain out of mercy and compassion. And by the last one, it felt routine. Like sometimes killing a bird is just killing a bird. In the final days of his tenure with me, Cat killed what would be his last bird in my presence. It was a small sparrow. He snatched it from the air with no trouble, and he crushed the life out of it quickly. And he brought it up to the door as if to ask, "Can I bring you one last gift?" "Well, no, you cannot." There was no struggle as he quickly ripped its head off and left it there, walking off, uninterested in the headless bird. So I put it in the HEB bag and threw it in the trash. And I'd like to think this felt meaningful, but I don't remember if it did. So I doubt it. Sometimes the last headless sparrow your cat will ever bring you is just a headless sparrow.